Hey everybody, what's up? Lex here, and welcome back to another video. This time I'm going to be posing a question to you, to me. Is the Wii U dead to you? Is it dead to me? Is it dead to us? And I'm not meaning is it dead like is it being produced anymore? That's not what I'm meaning. What I'm meaning is the Wii U dead to you in the sense of you will never play this console again? Was it dead to you when it launched? Where in the line was the Wii U for you? I know a lot of people didn't play it, obviously. It didn't sell very well, but I have some interesting experiences with the Wii U, having worked in game retail at the time that this was released. So I wanted to kind of tell those stories and give my experiences with the Wii U itself, because the Wii U is going to be an interesting footnote in Nintendo's history. So in order for us to talk about the Wii U, I feel like we have to go back to the Wii itself. Now, when I started working at GameStop, it was 2007, and this was obviously after the Wii had launched, but the Wii craze lasted for a very long time. It lasted a few years. With trying to get a Wii console. Now, if you don't remember those times, or if you're too young to remember those times, which is pretty crazy, imagine the NES Classic demand, the craze that's been going on over that tiny little console for the Wii. It was almost the same exact thing. It seemed like Nintendo was just completely out of stock all the time. You couldn't find one. You would check all the stores in town. Nobody would have one. I remember people calling the store on a regular basis, trying to track down shipments of Wiis, trying to get their hands on one. Whether it be like a mom trying to find one for her kids, or a grandmother trying to find one for her grandkids when they come over and play. It really spoke to a large casual audience and was a different customer altogether than the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 people were, because you had for almost completely separate games. There were a few series that were on both, but even then, they were completely different games. Now, me personally, I never really liked the Wii. I owned one for a short time. The motion controls just aren't for me. Also, having worked at GameStop at the time when the Wii U was big and we were selling Wii U's like crazy, we were selling Wii U games like crazy, there was a lot of sketchy titles being offered for the Wii. And this is not really the fault of Nintendo, it's just shovelware, right? I mean, people go out and they look for cheap games to buy their kids for this game system that they bought, and the only game that they really play is Wii Sports. They're trying to find other games, and you've got the Nintendo published titles like Mario's and Kirby's and all these other games, the Wario games, which were fun, Smash Brothers, but they were also the most expensive games on the console. So instead of, hey, you should get Super Smash Brothers because it's a fun fighting party game that's not really violent, instead people would opt for Chicken Shoot, because it was just something that was cheap and it looked like it might be fun. Now, I don't fault for anybody for trying to find a budget title. I myself like to find games that are cheap that are also fun to play, but the problem is that these people really didn't have much experience with that. And us selling for the Wii U, you really didn't have very many options at any given time to point out a game that wasn't Nintendo published and say, this is a game that's worth what they're asking for. Because a lot of them were just shovelware that might have looked fun on the outside, but we knew from a first-hand experience that they weren't fun. Games that got returned over and over and over again because they were so glitchy and buggy, and it was just a sad state of affairs. The Wii itself sold like gangbusters. It was insane how much that console sold. It's the most successful console Nintendo has ever had. when you talk about a home console. And, you know, just the Wii, coming off the Wii, what are you going to do next? Then Nintendo announced the Wii U. So at this point, I'm already not a huge fan of what Nintendo's doing with their home market, because I'm not a huge fan of the motion control gimmicks and stuff like that. I'm more traditional, want to sit down on the couch, hold a controller, and play a game. You know, without having to wave it around everywhere and go, or, you know, I remember Wario Land, I believe it was Wario Land Shake It, was a fun game to play, but it just was annoying when you had to shake the controller. Otherwise, it was a great looking game, it was a great playing game, and they just add that gimmick in there that kind of killed it for me. So I got rid of my Wii pretty soon after I got it. The Wii U came out. The biggest problem with the Wii U for us selling the console was that we had no idea what the heck this thing was. A controller that you bought for the Wii and was an extension of the Wii? Was it a whole new console? What experiences was it going to have? Look kind of like a tablet, touch controls? Was it going to have motion control too? Could you use your Wii? There were so many questions that it was just so difficult to get our information straight in such a short amount of time, because one of the things that we relied on heavily is information from the company, whoever it's, you know, whether it be Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, information from them to help us sell this. And a lot of the times that information would be fluffed, and, you know, it wouldn't be hardline information, it would be very vague. The word experience would be used a lot. For us to try to sell this stuff was just almost impossible without getting our hands on it first. So when the Wii U actually came out, the only reason I knew anything about it was because a coworker of mine had picked up the system and played it, and he was trying to explain this to us. So with the whole Wii U trying to figure out what it was difficult for us to communicate to a family coming in who had the Wii that there was this new system out called the Wii U, and it was basically Nintendo's next jump. I mean, the big sell for the Wii U was that it had HD graphics. That's right, HD graphics. That was the big sell. Something that the Xbox and PS3 have been doing at this point since 2006 or so. It was such a tough sell. I remember one family in particular, and I'll probably never forget this. They came into the store and they're over at the Wii U section, so I go over to greet them and ask them if they need any help. And they're looking at the Wii U section and they say, well, we just got a Wii U and we're looking for games to play for it. And the Wii U, mind you, the Wii U section at this point was like this big. And that high. It was literally pretty brand new. So there wasn't much out there, but what was out there was titles that really didn't speak to them. Titles that were basically not like the Wii selection. And I remember the guy saying, the father saying, yeah, we bought this system and we're really regretting it now because there's just nothing for us to play. We got the Lego game, and you know, it's okay, it's fun, but it's like there's nothing that's really fun like the Wii with Wii Sports. And I remember suggesting some titles that maybe might be in their wheelhouse, but just the disappointment on their face was almost ridiculous. And I remember the father saying that he wishes they got a 360. So to me, the Wii U, the way it started off was so bad and so pitiful and pathetic, and it really stemmed from Nintendo's lack of communication, and not only to people who watched E3 or people who kept up with game news, but the people selling their console. They had no idea what the heck it was. The people selling this thing didn't know how to communicate the value of the Wii U. Really, there wasn't much value there at the start to begin with. for the Switch, the Nintendo Switch, which is going to be coming out in March of 2017, to be successful, it really needs to have a strong first year lineup. I'm going to read to you the Wii U's first year lineup of games published by Nintendo. This is only games that are published by Nintendo, and I'll talk about some of the third-party titles and support after this. But I want to get this out of the way because I think it's very telling, and I'm also going to list the games that were published by Nintendo 3 years later, the next 3 years after that first year of launch. New Super Mario Bros. U, Nintendo Land, Sing Party, Super Luigi U, Game & Wario, Lego City Undercover, Pikmin 3, Wonderful 101, Wind Waker HD, Wii U Party, Wii Fit U, Wii Sports Club, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympics 2014. Those were the first year titles in the first 365 days that the Wii U was out. Those were the titles that you could get. Now, out of those titles, maybe 5 were really something that you should go out and play. Maybe. New Super Mario Bros. U was packed in with the console, so that was many people's first experience. For those that didn't get it packed in with the console, the early adopters, that probably would have been your first purchase, and it was a $60 game. And I like New Super Mario Bros. U. I think it has a good look to it, and I do think it is challenging, but that is not a $60 game to me. That is maybe a $30 game, more in line with what Super Luigi U came out as. Nintendo Land was also a pack-in game, and Nintendo Land was kind of designed to show off what you could do with the Wii U gamepad, which we haven't even talked about yet, and we will get to for sure. But it really didn't hit home with anybody. It was just kind of a mediocre title at best using Nintendo properties. I think the idea is great. A theme park with Nintendo, I think that's a fantastic idea, both in real life and through video games, but they just didn't hit the mark here. Pikmin 3 is a good game, it's just very slow, and it's definitely not for everybody. It's a strategy kind of game. It looks great. It can be fun, but it's a game that you can play once and put down and never come back to again. It's not one of those games that really excites the people. And I think probably the biggest game on this list that probably got the most attention for the Wii U in a positive manner was Wind Waker HD Remake, because a lot of people love Wind Waker, and Wind Waker was a title that when they remade it, and because of the graphical style, because of the art style, it looked great on the Wii U. It was like the first game that really looked stunning to people on the Wii U, because a lot of these other games did not look good graphically. They looked okay, maybe, but not to the level that Wind Waker looked. But even then, Wind Waker was a remake of a GameCube game. It wasn't an original Nintendo IP. It wasn't a new game in a series that people love. So that was a huge mistake in and of itself. So Wind Waker, with its gold case and very attractive and great graphics and stuff like that, was still a GameCube game, and it had GameCube mechanics to it. So, overall, that is a pretty weak first year lineup. The Switch has to be better than that, and the Wii U really suffered because of this first year lineup. It got the reputation that the Wii U is not a system that has the killer app. It's not a system that you need to go out and get because you can't play this fantastic, wonderful game anywhere else but the Wii U. Now let me read to you the next 3 years of Nintendo published releases. Super Mario 3D Land, Xenoblade Chronicles X, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, Mario Kart 8, Splatoon, Super Smash Bros., Bayonetta 2, Mario Maker, Star Fox Zero, Tokyo Mirage Sessions FE Sharp, and Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, Super Mario Land 3D just missed that year cutoff, so it was pretty close. Super Mario Land 3D really kicked off the goodwill that the Wii U finally started to, even though it was very little, finally started to kind of drudge up. It's finally got some goodwill with Super Mario Land 3D. And I'm not a huge fan of Super Mario Land 3D myself. It's an okay game. It's obviously better with co-op and everything like that, but it just resonated with a lot of people. It looked good, the co-op was there, it reminded people why they buy Nintendo consoles, to have that couch co-op fun that a lot of other consoles skip in lieu of online experiences. So that kind of kicked things off. But when you talk about the lineup I just read, and that's about, I wouldn't say quite half of the first year lineup, but still, it's quality over quantity. Quality over quantity. So if the Nintendo Switch comes out and they only have 5 games at launch, okay, and you gotta say, okay, well, Ubisoft is gonna have Just Dance, alright? Okay, so Ubisoft Just Dance is gonna be there, or whatever. It leaves you 4 more titles that could potentially be Nintendo published titles. When you look at the rumors, that is going to be Zelda Breath of the Wild, okay? So already you have one game that could potentially be, because it hasn't come out yet, so I don't want to crown it before it's come out, but one game that could potentially be the killer app for the Switch for its whole lifespan. Because Zelda is such a huge franchise, and this is open world with, it looks like, a ton of stuff to do. My issues with it, and I don't want to get too deep into it right now, but it doesn't look like it runs very well in most of the stuff that we've seen. Maybe that's just early build kind of stuff, but it looks like the frame rate is very choppy. We'll wait and see. It doesn't look super impressive graphically either, but if it's fun, it's Zelda, and it's going to drive units. And then you talk about some of these other games, porting them over to the Switch, because maybe people haven't played them because they didn't pick up a Wii U. You put a Mario Kart out there, even if it's Mario Kart 8 with a few new things in it, that is going to drive units. A Zelda, a Mario Kart, Splatoon. I mean, this has the potential, the Switch has the potential to, right out of the gate, outsell the Wii U system because of Zelda. It's Zelda. I'm sorry, if people disagree with that, it is Zelda that's going to sell the Nintendo Switch. Not having to wait the whole lifespan of the console to get the new open world Zelda game is going to be huge. That was one of the Wii U's biggest problems. Zelda was announced back in 2014, I believe, and we still don't have it for the Wii U, and the Wii U is pretty much gone. It's off the assembly line. They're not going to make it anymore. They're moving on to the Switch, and that's a big problem if you bought a Wii U for Breath of the Wild, because at this point it might be the better choice to get rid of the Wii U and go buy a Switch, because by the time you trade in your Wii U and all your games for the Wii U, you're probably going to have enough money to buy the Switch and Zelda, and you'll probably be just as happy. Third-party support for the Wii U, I just want to go back real quick and talk about that, was actually decent to start with. EA put Mass Effect 3 on there, Ubisoft put Assassin's Creed on there, Wii U even had a Madden 13, and then when those things didn't sell, those third parties pulled their support. And for good reason. When you already have Mass Effect 3 out for Xbox 360 and PS3, and it runs just the same, maybe different tablet controls for the Wii U, who wants to buy that? And the answer is not many people. Not many people are going after those third-party titles on the Wii U. If you're really into those third-party titles, chances are you have a different system, and you're going to get it for those different systems. So I don't necessarily think third-party support is all that important as people make it out to be, because especially if it's just ports. But if the third-party support is new IPs that you can only play on Nintendo, that's a different story. And that's what I'll be looking for during the Switch reveal. So let's talk a bit about the Wii U itself. Let's get off the Switch kick, because I'll talk more about the Switch next week when they do their whole unveiling, and I'm so excited for that, because there's rumors of Mother 3 finally coming to America with an official translation, even though I haven't played it, I'm sure it's quality stuff from Clyde Mandolin and his crew, and everybody who helped out with that. And I'll play both of them because I want to see the interpretation of both. But really, just to have an official release for a series that I love so much is exciting. Of course, that's just a rumor, and we'll talk about more of that later. Let's talk about the Wii U gamepad real quick. So the Wii U gamepad, here it is. It's huge. I mean, it's the size of my head. This is the controller for the Wii U. Now, the Wii U has other controllers that you can use as well, but this is the main controller here. To even operate the system, to even turn it on, you must have this controller, and they are not sold separately. This was a huge issue with the Wii U. Now, I picked up my Wii U in December of 2013, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and in all reality, I enjoy the Wii U. I like the Wii U. I think it's a good console. I think it's a much better console than the Wii. And that's the way it goes. Usually the better console will sell less, and so on and so forth. I think the Super Nintendo was better than the NES, but really the NES outsold the Super Nintendo, so that's just kind of the way it goes in the gaming world. I would have much rather had a Wii U than a Wii all those years. The Wii U just came way too late, and the ideas that it had were maybe ahead of its time, because people didn't really adopt the tablet style controller. Now we're going on to the Switch, and having a tablet controller is actually not a bad idea, and it's exciting a lot of people to be able to take it on the go wherever you can. You can actually play most games on the go with this. The problem is you can't leave the console. You can't take it outside. You can't take it, well, you can take it outside if the console's close enough, but even then it's sketchy. So, I mean, even though this is the story of the Wii U, it's just not technically up to snuff. It doesn't have the technology in it to really make it as special as the Nintendo Switch is going to be, if that lives up to everything it's promising. One of the things I really love about the Wii U is being able to turn the TV off or turn the TV to a different input and watch Netflix and still be able to play a game on the Wii U tablet, especially for virtual console games. When they released Earthbound for the virtual console, well, number one, I lost my mind because I love Earthbound so much, and here was an opportunity to pick up the game for $10 and not have to pay the $200 that people are asking on eBay for a cartridge. You could play Earthbound, not emulated on a computer, but emulated on a Nintendo machine for $10. And you could support Earthbound in the process. You could tell Nintendo, hey, this is important to us. It may not have sold in 1995, but it's going to sell now because people really understand these types of games a lot more. Now, also, we got Earthbound Beginnings on it, which was mind-blowing in itself, but again, you could just play Earthbound Beginnings on this tablet and watch whatever, or your significant other can watch whatever, and you're not annoying each other by hogging up the screen like I do with the Xbox or the PlayStation. Or it was a cool option to have, and I think that while this controller is pretty uncomfortable, to be truthful, it's not as uncomfortable as I thought it would be, and it's not unplayable. So the Wii U pad, a lot of people didn't like it. A lot of people, some people thought it was ingenious, thought it was great, thought it was cool. And I'm one of those people who really did dig the tablet controller. Now, there were other controller options you could use for some games. The Wiimote, you could use it for Super Smash Brothers, you could use it for Mario Kart and a couple other games. And you could also use the Pro Controller here, which is actually a really, really nice controller. It's shaped kind of similar to an Xbox 360 controller, except for it has both joysticks up at the top, the D-pad, and the face buttons down at the bottom. So this is actually pretty comfortable if you're playing a virtual console game that's maybe a Super Nintendo game, because the D-pad and the face buttons are right level with each other, and it feels like you're holding just a regular controller. But also, if you want to play a game that uses like a 3D camera or whatever, you just move your hand, your thumb up to the top, and it feels like, you know, almost like a PlayStation 360 hybrid. I love this controller. It's a nice controller. It's got the shoulder buttons as well on top. It's just I didn't use it for a whole lot because you have to use the gamepad for a lot of these games. So being able to use a controller like this on the Nintendo Switch will also be another big plus. So Pro Controller or tablet controller, you had options with the Wii U, and maybe that's something that people didn't like, where having too many options gets confusing to sell. I can definitely tell you that from firsthand experience. It's kind of hard to sell when you've got, you know, 50 different options for controllers, or 50 different options you know, for attachments and stuff like that. Alright, so now let's talk about some of my personal favorite games for the system. I already said I'm not a huge fan of Mario 3D Land. It's okay, not bad. Xenoblade Chronicles X is a game that I'm still getting into, but it's a nice experience. It's a different experience from what else we have on the Wii U. It's a certain kind of game that requires some patience. It requires a lot of grinding, a lot of repetitive stuff. Going out to the same areas to face the same monsters, and things like that. You know, a lot of retreading on an open world, but a relatively small open world in the sense that, you know, we've seen some pretty big open worlds these days. But another game I'm playing right now that is very similar to Xenoblade Chronicles X is for the Xbox One. It's called Recore, and it was developed by Keiji Inafune, who is the creator of Mega Man. And so I'm having a lot of fun with Recore, I'm having a lot of fun with this too, but it is a very repetitive thing. You have to break it up with other games, in my opinion. Super Smash Brothers is a game that I don't really play anymore, but I did play quite a bit when it first came out, and it's a lot of fun. It's a great game. It's a great looking game. It's a great playing game. Definitely my favorite Smash Brothers out of all of them. But really, you know, I hit a wall with these types of games, and you know, I hit a wall, and I haven't played this in probably a year or so. But it is a great game. If I am playing Wii U and I'm just saying, okay, I'm going to spend the day to play Wii U, this is a game that I'm going to put in and play. We already talked about Zelda Wind Waker. Not my favorite. I like 2D Zelda a lot more. I think Breath of the Wild is going to get me into 3D Zelda, just because it has crafting elements and you have to eat and stuff like that. That interests me a lot more than just kind of a linear 3D Zelda. So Mario Kart 8 is probably the best game on this system. It is a phenomenal game. It looks fantastic. It's fun to play. I know a lot of people, and me included, are not happy that battle mode is the way it is in this game. It's not traditional battle mode. I played the original Super Mario Kart all the time with my cousins and friends, and battle mode was the mode. It was so fun to play, and not having that traditional battle mode here for Mario Kart 8 sucks. But from what I hear, they're gonna put that back in when they port it over to the Switch. So this great game might get even better, which is really cool. But when I got this was really the start of my love of the Wii U. When I got this game, I played it so much nonstop online. I'm not even really an online player, but I played this online a lot. It's a lot of fun to play. It's easy, it's simple, there's not a whole lot to it. When you play online, there's no trash talk. It's a very nice experience, and definitely, I remember when this came out, I was in I was at Disneyland at the time, on vacation, and I could not wait to get home and play Mario Kart 8, and it had me thinking, man, wouldn't a Nintendo theme park be so fun, and it'd be so great to go to? And now we're getting that with Universal Studios, mainly in Japan, but I went to Universal Studios this year, and I love Universal Studios now a ton, so that's gonna be like the most awesome combination ever. Bayonetta 2 is not a game that I played much, so I can't really talk on it. It's intense, and it's graphically impressive. So this is really when the Wii U started getting games that were impressing people more and more with how clean the graphics looked in certain art styles. Star Fox Zero. I actually like Star Fox Zero. I think it's a pretty fun game, all things considered, with the tablet controls and stuff like that, which are, cumbersome, but it's an okay game. It's not a great game, but I did have fun with it. I think there's fun to be had with it, and it's also fun to just pop in every once in a while and zoom around in space and fight. To have dog fights and all that kind of stuff. I do think obviously this game was overhyped because people went nuts when they heard Star Fox on Wii U. They insisted on cramming these tablet controls into the game, and that was a mistake. But other than that, it's a cool game, and this is a cool package too. You get Star Fox Guard with it, which it's not a game you buy on its own really, but a nice pack-in game is cool. Super Mario Maker. If you buy a Wii U and you're buying one game, and you're going to have that game for a while, and you're not going to be able to buy any more games for a while, Super Mario Maker is probably the one to buy. Yes, it's a 2D Mario game, but you can create your own levels, but even better than that, you can play levels that other people create. And let me tell you, I haven't played this game in a while, but even like the first week or two, there were so many levels to play and so many levels to try. It's a fun game. It's a creative game. Probably the best IP Nintendo has put out in a long time. Mario Maker, and I hope they put more creative games out there as well. It would be nice to have a Nintendo RPG Maker. It would be nice to have a Zelda Maker or a Metroid Maker or something like that. Just the series should continue, and I hope it does. Super Mario Maker is just such a cool game. I kind of want to go play it right now. It's awesome. Now they have the one for 3DS, which is not as good, but still a mobile Mario Maker game is awesome. So I've kind of already talked about Super Mario Bros. U, and it's a game that, it's okay. I mean, but if you have Super Mario Maker, there's really not a whole lot of need to play this, other than just playing the levels made by the people who do this for a living. It's okay. If you can get it really cheap, like $15 or something like that, go ahead and pick it up. It's fun, it's challenging, and it was a nice experience. It looks great, but it doesn't have the soul of the original Mario Brothers games. 1, 2, 3, Super Mario World. It just doesn't have the same kind of soul, I think, and it's a little bit different. So if you can get it for cheap, go ahead and pick it up. So real quick, Wii Fit U, I got this for $5, and for $5, it's actually a decent workout game program thing. There are some fun games on here, but if you don't have the balance board already, you really probably shouldn't go after this one. But I got it for $5, and it's pretty good. And then last is Splatoon, a game I actually don't care for very much, but my son Dexter loves this game. He had so much fun with it, and as a parent, that really made me appreciate what this game is. It's essentially a third-person shooter, online shooter for kids. This was a game that I was comfortable with him going online and playing online and stuff like that. No other game has really made me feel that way. Just being able to let him have that online experience without having to worry about someone chatting and saying some really ugly stuff to him and stuff like that. Stuff he doesn't really need to hear at this age was awesome. And for that, I love Splatoon. Me personally, you know, I can take it or leave it. It's a fun game, but I'm not really a fan of the online shooter, you know, quick one-off exhibition matches anyway. So it probably wasn't going to do well with me anyway. So now that we've gone over all of this, it's time to answer the question: is the Wii U dead to me? That is tough. Even after going through all of this, no, the Wii U's not dead to me. I'll continue to play the Wii U even after I have the Switch. Now, given I don't play the Wii U much right now as it is, but I still have games to go through. I still have experiences that I like on the Wii U. Still stuff on my virtual console that I've yet to complete all the way. So the Wii U is not dead to me, even once I get the Switch. But I can definitely see the time for the Wii U dwindling, because now that if I'm gonna have the Switch and the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and games for all those to play, and the 3DS and the Vita and my PC, you know, it's gonna be hard for me to find the time to go to the Wii U and play those experiences. I think if anything here is gonna get more play, it's gonna be Xenoblade Chronicles X, because I think I'm like 9-10 hours into it, so I still have a long way to go with Xenoblade Chronicles X, and there's probably going to be more games in the series, so I'll want to go through and play this one and ones before that. But in all honesty, it's not dead, but it's clinging on to life here in my household. So my question to you is the Wii U dead to you? Will you continue to play your Wii U if you have a Wii U? Or is it just moving on to the Switch and wiping your hands clean of the Wii U system? It's a big question for Wii U owners. You know, you have these games, you have this console, you have the virtual console. You don't know what's going to go ahead and you know, carry over to the Switch. So what are you going to do with your Wii U? Go ahead and answer in the comments. Let me know. I'm very curious to see what you guys are going to do with your Wii U now that the Switch is coming up. And join us next week where we'll talk about the Switch reveal and everything that's going on with that, whether the Switch has a chance to be successful. I already think it has a chance to be successful and be a lot more successful than the Wii U, but we'll see once they announce more stuff, because it's very telling with what they announce and their third-party support, what they're gonna do. Anyway, if you like the vid, go ahead and subscribe to the channel for more vids like it. I do unboxings, I do reviews, commentaries like this. Thank you so much to everybody who supports the channel already. Don't forget you check me out on Twitter @LexMarston. Until next time, see you guys later.